All right, Rand, here's the question. Did the Vikings misread their window or rush the future? Today, we figure out why and how easy this might be to fix in Minnesota. Welcome back to With the First Pick. Doing the perfect fix, and this time we're fixing the Minnesota Vikings. I'm Ryan Wilson, that's former Titans GM Rand Carthon. Before we get going, Vikings fans, I'm curious what your frustration level is with this team. I know JJ McCarthy has been a disappointment in year two, but was he set up to fail? Should the Vikes have run it back with Sam Darnold, or even given a glimpse towards Aaron Rodgers, who wanted to play there before he signed with Pittsburgh? Let us know what you think. All right, Rand, I wrote about this midway through the season, and I made you read it 4 or 5 times. JJ McCarthy, through his first 6 starts, historically bad. In fact, the only quarterback that was able to overcome such a bad start was Jared Goff. So I'm going to start here. If you don't think JJ is Jared Goff or has the chance to become Jared Goff, is it worth sticking with him, or do you need to rip the Band-Aid off and go to Plan B?
Man, I honestly think it's too soon. Just for the simple fact, this is the kid's first year as a starter. I know he's a second-year player, but he did not play all of last season, and it's his first year out, in the system, actually playing, and he dealt with some injuries. So I think it's way too soon to kind of, yank him off the stage, if you will. But he needs another offseason in which he is not rehabbing. And that's the forgotten part that we don't talk about enough when it comes to what his offseason was last year. He spent it rehabbing as opposed to being able to fine-tune his game and work on parts of his game that are going to make him better. But I think this coming offseason, he'll have a full offseason to work on his mechanics, go out and work with those quarterback gurus that are out there, and hopefully we'll see a better performance out of him.
All right, I'm going to lean on your front office experience like I always do here, and you can be my fact checker as well when we talk about these salary cap numbers. The Vikings, by my estimation, are next to last in available salary cap space. It looks like they'll be $26.7 million over the cap this spring. Now, there's some funny math you can do to make these things work, and teams do it all the time. But let me throw some of the Vikings who are up to be free agents at the end of this season, this spring, these names, and tell me if you think it makes sense to bring them back. And because there's not going to be a lot of wiggle room to sign guys off the street with the salary cap situation as it currently is. But let me know what you think about these guys. Future Hall of Famer Harrison Smith is going to be up. Jalen Naylor, who's wide receiver 3. Jalen Redmond, who's been the defensive lineman, who's outplayed a lot of the guys they signed. And Ivan Pace Jr., the undrafted rookie from back in the day, who has been in the middle of that defense as a starter since he was, in fact, signed to the team. Any of those guys seem to make sense coming back? The other thing I guess I should ask you about as well is Brian Flores, who it sounds like the Vikings want him back. He could be well sought after elsewhere also.
Yeah, so let's start with the players. I think Jalen Redmond was a steal of a find, finding him, I believe, in the UFL. Their front office, their pro department, Ryan Grigson, Demetrius Washington, they all did a really good job of being able to find him. I think he is a player they should indeed look to bring back. Jalen Naylor, I think, is worth bringing back. I just don't know that they're going to be able to afford to bring him back. I'll say it that way. I don't know what his market is going to be at this point, but as your third receiver, which you still get a high volume of targets for Justin Jefferson, for the tight end, and for Addison, I just don't know that at the price that he may command, if that's going to be worth the price number. You mentioned they're between 26 and 27 million over the cap. Right now I have potential cap casualty being Aaron Jones, the running back. I think he's carrying a $14.8 million cap number. I'd also be interested to see where they are with center Ryan Kelly, who's dealt with some injuries, a little bit this year throughout his career. He's carrying a $12.1 million cap number. And then you look at the 2 defensive tackles that they signed last year, Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, not so much as cap casualty, but guys that you may want to renegotiate with to try to maneuver some of that guaranteed money that they may have. And I think those 4 moves in particular will allow you to get in the right standing in terms of the cap. Now, going back to the quarterback situation and JJ McCarthy, I feel like with all the other ones that we've done in terms of how to fix these teams, we're talking about bridge quarterbacks. And so I think because you always give me crap about it, so I'm gonna put it back on you, and
Oh boy.
you give me two names that you think I'm gonna throw out there, or maybe one name. I know you can give me
Oh
at
yeah.
least one name
Jimmy
that you
Garoppolo,
think I'm
number
gonna throw
one.
out.
I got to guess another one. I had made a list as well. I thought what you were going to say is that this is a unique situation in that they have their quarterback on their rookie deal, so at least you can spend that money elsewhere. But if you are thinking about bringing guys in, Jimmy Garoppolo, as you've talked about and you've worked with, would be cheap. He ain't going to cost them a lot of money. I don't. The names I had, I mentioned a couple other names as well. You probably have maybe Russ on there as well. But I had just out of curiosity, Kyler. And I don't know if he makes things better or worse. AR5, Anthony Richardson may not make things better or worse. Malik Willis, we've talked about, who's going to be a free agent in Green Bay. And then the behind door number 4 there, Kirk Cousins.
Well, I'll say this. I had Russell Wilson. I had Jimmy G. I had Malik Willis. I have a name on here you haven't heard me say, and Vikings fans, I know when they listen, they're going to say, what? But I didn't have Kirk Cousins on here, and I'll just simply say this, and this is just my truth. Watching that Falcons game the other night and watching him play within that offensive structure, in my opinion, he looked like the weak link of that offense.
Okay.
And especially when he was put under duress, he didn't move around particularly well in terms of being able to get off the spot, reset his feet, and get the ball out. I felt like when he got pressured the other night against the Rams, it just all went to hell for that offense, and he wasn't able to accurately push the ball downfield. So I don't know how much better he's going to make that Vikings offense if they're not going to be able to protect him. The other name I had on here, and again, I'm looking at this more so as a bridge quarterback, guys that have played that can also be there to help with the maturation of JJ McCarthy. The other name I had was Mitchell Trubisky. You know, he's been a backup. He's been in Buffalo the last couple years in the room with Josh Allen, and I just had him again, a cheaper option, a veteran backup that I think. And we've named Kevin O'Connell the quarterback whisperer because we've seen the work he's been able to do with other guys. Not saying that he's going to work his magic with Trubisky, but more so to help with JJ McCarthy in that room. The Russell Wilson, the Jimmy Garoppolos, to me, can step in and play if JJ McCarthy is out. They have experience within that scheme, an understanding of the concepts that they want to do, and that they have won games in the league. The interesting one for me was Malik Willis, because I think if you put Malik Willis in a situation like he's been in with Green Bay, where he's had to step in, he's had to play again, same system or very similar system. Malik Willis will create a quarterback controversy with JJ McCarthy. And I think what will end up happening will be right back down that same road as Sam Darnold, whereas Malik Willis will come there on a 1 or 2 year deal and play well. If he's given an opportunity to play, he'll play well. And then it'll be, should we move forward with JJ McCarthy or re-sign Malik Willis? I think that's what that'll create. And I don't know how willing the Vikings are going to be to create that in JJ McCarthy's second year as a starter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Vikings fans, let us know where you are in the quarterback situation of the names we mentioned, or maybe there's not a name out there that we've talked about yet that's reasonable. I mean, you're not going to get Joe Burrow, for example, but if there's someone not named JJ McCarthy, I'm curious what you guys think. Randy, you mentioned the Vikings have 8 draft picks. They have 2 thirds, and they have 2 sevens as well. They're currently picking number 17. Let's play the game here. I'm going to give you a player that could be there at number 17, and you tell me which of these options would be the biggest impact in 2026. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy, Ohio State linebacker Sonny Styles, and I'll throw another one in there because they've had some injuries along the offensive line. My guy, right tackle Francis Mauigoa for the U.
Ooh, I think for me it would come down to Francis Mauigoa and Jeremiah Love. Now, if you move on from Aaron Jones, and you have Jordan Mason, who you acquired via trade from the San Francisco 49ers. You gave him a small extension. when he's in there, Jordan Mason runs the ball, is about as physical as anyone in the league. But if you're being honest with yourself, can you say that Jordan Mason is a lead back? I think if you add a young guy in the room, or one with the explosiveness of a Jeremiah Love, I think that really turns up your offense. And it also takes something off of the plate of JJ McCarthy, because now you have a viable running game that will always help the young quarterback. Again, you said they're at pick 17, I believe. There's a chance that Jeremiah Love will be there, but it'll be interesting to see if he falls that far. But to me, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, of the names you gave me, it's either Jeremiah Love or Francis Mauigoa.
No, I actually think that's right. And they drafted Donovan Jackson last year as well, along the interior of that offensive line. All right, so Jim Moore, playoff segment. So KOC and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah were hired in 2022. And since then, the Vikings have won 13 games, 7 games, 14 games, and then 8 games this year as we record this heading into week 18. The difference this time, there is no Kirk Cousins playing at a high level or Sam Darnold doing the unbelievable in the moment type stuff. So I will ask you, how close is this team to being back to dominant like they were the last few years in 2026?
I mean, and we talked about it, when we were talking about the Detroit Lions. This division is stacked. And with everything that the Vikings has gone through, the level of inconsistency in terms of play at the quarterback position, injuries, they're still 8-8. They still have a chance to finish this season with a winning record, which when you think about it, it's actually impressive because they've had a lot of turnover, had a ton of guys miss a lot of snaps. So can they be a playoff team? If you're making me say yes or no, I'll just say right now, no, because the division is so stacked. And again, you have legitimate questions at the most key position, not only in the National Football League, but on your football team. And so I'll say it this way, of their division, they're the ones that have the biggest concern at the quarterback position. Which again, someone's going to have to be, it's just what it is. Someone's going to be the odd man out in that division. And right now, the other 3 teams have quarterbacks that are playing at extremely high level. We know where Jordan Love is. We see where Caleb Williams is growing and becoming. We know what Jared Goff is. And so it's, to me right now, if you're ranking those quarterbacks, that would put JJ McCarthy as 4th in that division. And obviously, to me, that would make them the odd man out.
Yeah, and that's why we're actually having conversations about, does there need to be another quarterback to help push JJ along, or perhaps play if JJ can't? And that's the big question. So it's all going to come down to that, no doubt about it. Vikings fans, let us know what you think about all this. If there are any players that you want to see this team draft to help this team right away, any larger concerns that we haven't talked about, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that.